Hello, I'm Joel, and this is Brandy. So, how are you? Hello. Hi, Joel. All right. So, I'm excited to be here. In the world, they have many different writers and deaf writers. So, I feel excited and honored to be here. Thank you. So, Finding Zoe, which is your book. Just gives me goosebumps. On the plane, I recently read it and I just got the chills. So, the book, what's up? Why did you decide to write this? Zoe's my daughter, who's 10, and I adopted her when she was 8 months old as an infant. I'm her fifth family, her fifth home. Yes, the fifth one. She was passed on through all these families until I finally got her, and she's deaf. It made me angry of why all these families gave her up. So I did some research, and I found one family who first adopted her was a speech therapist. They knew some signs, but they still gave her up to the foster care, which made me more angry. The mother wrote a letter when Zoe became one, and in the letter it said she will always have a big tender place in our heart, but we know nothing about the deaf world and signing. So it was the worst day of my life to put her in the foster care. But we saw it and immediately decided when she came home, our house is your house. So I was angry at first, but it changed my perspective, and I started saying thank you for all these families giving her up so she could be with my house. And I realized it was a good story. So when I became 40, I decided I must write this story, and I did some research to match an author named Gail Harris. And we got in contact and signed a contract, and she agreed to work together with me. How did you decide to document Finding Zoe? I have a husband and 3 boys, and we really wanted a girl in the family. We planned to go to China, and they had a home study agency, and Zoe and her mother was in the same agency with deaf family, and I wanted a deaf baby, and I was really interested, and they contacted me, and we got her. So from China to America, and growing up here in the own backyard. I'm just curious, what decided you writing Finding Zoe? Was it easy to write? It took a long time. It was a long journey for me. I was 40 when I started writing it. I had to do a lot of interviews of all the people in Zoe's life. Her birth parents, her adopted parents, her adopted families. It was tough because a lot of people didn't want to get involved, but I negotiated in. Her foster homes, I had to ask all these questions and interview over 120 hours of interviewing and taping, and I had to convert it into print and then write it up, and then the story was right away. It was pretty tough. When I was done, I made a manuscript and a book proposal, and I had one, and I was really excited, and I sent it to different publishers. I sent out a million, and I wanted a traditional publisher, so people warned me it would be tough. But self-publishing is easy now, right? Because the technology changed. Correct, yes. And anyone can publish a book today. So I kept on sending it out, and I was rejected and rejected and rejected and rejected, and my self-confidence just went down until finally a publisher signed, and we started the process, but then it didn't work out. So I was even more sad. And again, I continued searching, and recently in August, I had 2 offers by Ben Bella Books and another one, and I thankfully signed with one. Open adoption and private adoption. What's the difference between the two? Because it's a new thing for all of us. So in the past, people believed private, because the birth parents were scared that they would come and find me, and the adopted family were scared because maybe the children would go and look for their real parents and want to go back to them. And the foster system, and there were a bunch of cases of giving the children back to the real birth parents if they changed their mind. So now it's a big change. That doesn't happen. I believe, and I strongly believe, that for Zoe, it's best to know who she is and where she came from. When we brought her home as a baby at 8 months, we started describing her story. And of course it went over her head, but we continued to tell her a story over and over again. And one day we sit down and we let her know that you're adopted. She goes, I know, over and over again. It's normal for her. We have a wonderful experience with both of her birth parents. It's very healthy. Open means feel comfortable and adopted about the world. Are they comfortable with this? Yes. It was tough for the book to find a publisher, and you kept getting rejected and rejected. Why? Why did they keep turning you down? I think first many of the publishers look at the deaf book, have deaf culture, because that's my experience and I have that. And the day baby was adopted and was deaf, it's not interesting and not have a good audience. So I had to change my proposal more in the perspective of a good story. Everybody must have a good story to start with. They must have one. It was a good story about my life and my experiences, my setbacks, and my adoption of Zoe and her story. So when I told it like that and gave it the thing, the publishers accepted it. I know the publishers need to be tender to the heart and give you goosebumps so that they'll decide that they want to go through and continue reading on the book. So one day, wait, let me go back. You have a deaf husband, Tim, who has 125 years of deaf in his family, and then you have 3 boys who are all hearing. And so now you wanted a girl who was deaf, and in the family, how did the family dynamics work? Yes, when we brought the boys, well, my firstborn was Blake, and my husband was shocked that he was hearing. It was like you have deaf parents and hearing children. It's the opposite. We technically call them handicapped. But we're bilingual culture, bilingual family, which is awesome. And their first language is ASL, and they accepted that, and they made it a part of themselves. And bringing the deaf sister into the picture was good balance for them. It was really, really cool. So the 3 boys, a new sister in the house. You adopt a new sister in the house. How did the 3 boys, how did they feel at home? What did it look like? How did it feel? It was more focused on being that there was a girl, because there's 3 boys. All boys play football, wrestling, they're tough, and now there's a girl with dolls and dresses, but Zoe became a tomboy also, and she loves sports, and, she fits in well. The 3 boys, were they inspired by your mother, and did it help you encourage to write more? Did it the boys, did it impact them? They see me working on the book for 5 years, and I never gave up. That's a good example and a good way to teach them to pursue their dreams. Patient, and it took a long time and a lot of energy, and I succeeded. And last week, the book arrived, and it was a hard copy, and it was a good lesson for them. The hard copy, it's like it's real, right? Wow. You convinced the publisher and people. Now, I'm curious, what happens afterwards? What are the challenges of the marketing? Printing, publishing, you buy your book, and your challenges. I'm just curious with the marketing. Yes, part of the marketing is my responsibility, and Gail's, both of us. Some of it is the publishers. Right now, the book is signed. I have book signings, that's a part of that. Book tours, internet, strong social media, gossip, writing on blogs, writing on different people's blogs, writing in different world, and people all over finding Zoe and acquiring it. Yes, it's definitely a challenge. So in the world, it's becoming smaller, right? And when you release the book in America, and there's somebody who found it in New Zealand, but how did they find that book? I'm just curious. Did they have any feedback? Yeah, one mother in New Zealand contacted me and found it on Facebook. She bought it immediately, read it, loved it, and wanted to say thank you for writing and sharing your story about parents and teaching them about teaching deaf children about sign language. So it was wonderful. It has impacted and influenced the world immensely. So deaf education has been changing with technology. The book advertisement of deaf parents to both hearing and deaf parents, and with hearing children, it's a good place for adopting and sharing the education and having a good relationship with everybody. So is there anything different after this impact and expectations after this? I hope people read it and go back and identify with children in the better foster cares. There's a bunch of kids that have perfect family, that families fit perfectly with them. So yeah, I think so. Finding Zoe's powerful, true, inspiring when you read it. I mean, I hope everyone picks this up and tells their friends. And when you read the book, you help, if you have a friend, if you need family, you share this with them. I think it's a perfect title. Thank you. Awesome. You can find it at any bookstores, right? Yeah, any bookstores? Yeah, Barnes & Noble's now, 74 large stores are selling it now. So see, it's a deaf author. Congratulations. So when you stop in the bookstore, you think, Finding Zoe, pick that up. Thank you. Thank you, Joel. All right, we'll see you next time.